a dead cat. That's the name of a political strategy of deliberately making a shocking announcement to divert attention away from other problems. It's a classic case of misdirection. It ensures that everyone is talking about the dead cat and not about more vital but perhaps embarrassing issues. In today's first reading, Luke is ensuring the apostles are not misdirected from their essential mission. The Acts of the Apostles is almost certainly written by the author of Luke's Gospel. It starts with the risen Jesus physically departing from his companions to become the Lord of all. Other New Testament writers also affirm this exaltation of Christ. In Matthew's Gospel, Christ proclaims, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me." While the letter to the church in Ephesus claims the Father of glory is enthroning Christ at his right hand in the heavens, far above every rule and authority and power. Luke is trying to describe this assertion in story form. At the end, I'm going to suggest another image which might help us in our understanding of the Ascension. But let's, for the moment, stick with Luke. 40 days after the resurrection, the apostles gather with the risen Lord just outside Jerusalem. He deflects their questions about whether the kingdom of heaven is about to establish. Instead, he promises them the gift of the Holy Spirit. Then, we are told, while they watch, Jesus was lifted up, and a cloud took him out of their sight. The apostles stand open-mouthed, gazing up into the skies in amazement. If we interpret this story too literally, we too can get misdirected and open our faith to ridicule. Khrushchev, the atheist leader of the Soviet Union in the early 1960s, mocked this belief when he said, "Here is Gagarin, who flew up into space, and yet he didn't see God anywhere." Luke, however, is not writing science or astronomy. He is writing theology. The cloud is a piece of biblical symbolism that would have been well understood by Jewish Christians. In the Hebrew Bible, as the Israelites struggle through the desert, God's presence is described as cloud and fire. A cloud retains a potent sense of mystery, for it hides as much as it reveals. So at the beginning of his second book, Luke is saying Jesus is returning to the glorious but mysterious presence of God. Elvis has left the building. Jesus actually hasn't left the building, though. For Luke wants to ensure we're not misdirected in seeing this as the absence of the Lord, but rather his presence in a new way. That's why the story continues. Suddenly, 2 men in white were standing beside them. They challenged the apostles. "Why are you Galileans staring up at the sky?" This is not the first time that these 2 white-clad figures have appeared. On Easter morning, the women at the empty tomb also discover 2 men in dazzling clothes were suddenly standing beside them. On that occasion, It is the women who are being told they are looking in the wrong direction. Why are you looking for the living among the dead? The two figures in white are voicing God's message. They are redirecting the sight of the apostles and the women so they don't miss the real action. We still need that voice of God expressed by those figures in white today. I once read an article by a Calvinist who claimed that the Ascension proved there is no real presence of Christ in the Mass. If Jesus is in heaven, he can't be in bread and wine. On another occasion, I had a warm argument with a very pious Christian who thought that faith was concentrating on getting into heaven, and so should be completely separated from politics. To both of them, the question of the men in white applies. Why are you staring up in the sky? Perhaps we could prevent this misdirection by expanding the symbols of the Ascension. Salt. Salt is a very biblical image, so let's use it. If you put a tablet of salt into water, it dissolves. It disappears from sight. Has it gone? No. It's just been dispersed throughout the glass. Take a sip and you'll soon discover the salt is still there. So the Ascension is not about the disappearance of Christ, although we no longer see him in the same physical way. It proclaims the presence of Christ in all things. The men in white challenge us not to gormlessly stare into the heavens, but to open our eyes to see the glory of the Lord filling our universe. The figures in white invite us to see the presence of Christ in the oppressed and the hungry. The Ascension challenges us to recognize the fullness of Christ in the bread and wine of the Eucharist. Orthodox Christianity has never been about staring up into the heavens. It's about seeing the glory of the Lord in our midst. As the letter to the Ephesians affirms, Christ is the fullness of him who fills all in all. Amen.